who are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Lancia Lambda, but the first car out is a Theta Torpedo Sports. The lovely story about this is that this is a 1917 car, but it was found abandoned in a bus depot in Northampton. And apparently after the Second World War, bus companies like that, they bought war surplus Lancias, took off the bodywork, of course it's a ladder chassis underneath, and actually put bus bodies on top of these Lancia chassis and used them at buses. There are about 17 of these chassis apparently found in this Northampton bus depot, and it's then been brought back to its magnificent looks now. And it's owned by Roland Grangebrook for 48 years. He bought it on April Fool's Day 1973 as abandoned in a bus depot, and it's done now 30,000 miles in that car. And it's actually for sale, so if you fancy the look of that cruising by, I'm sure if you go into the showroom and find it, he'll name the price. So once the Theta Torpedo, due to its shape I guess, long-bodied, long nose, we have a whole range of the Lancia Lambda, or Lancia. I like saying Italian really, but Lancia. Should say an Italian word. And the Lambda really, we're about to see 3 examples of, the 7 over in the paddock. This is the model that's actually celebrating its centenary. And really it's a car that moved automotive engineering, leapt forward towards the birth of the modern era. It had 4 pioneering innovations combined to make a car that was light and easy to drive. It's the first kind of a monocoque body, first of all, instead of the ladder chassis, which the Theta in front of you has got that ladder chassis, so you just change the body on top of it. You can't do that with a Lambda because the body is the chassis at the same time. It's got independent front suspension, which is a very new thing, a V4 engine, and actually got 4-wheel brakes, which we all assume we're going to have nowadays. Well, we don't always have it sometimes when you get driving, but a very good innovation. So the first of our Lambdas coming out, registration XX302, was imported brand new to the UK. And it's lovely when we look at the price of these old cars. This was bought in London for £675, which back then was the same price as a 3-bedroom house. So I suppose we have to think of our modern day 3-bedroom house and get what car you can. So this is a 3rd series Torpedo Lambda from 1924. 3-speed gearbox. It's driven to Italy 6 times, and it's done a lot of driving, goes to Europe. It's owned by Mike Benwell for 40 years. And Mike, of course, is at the wheel. So say hi, Mike, as he goes cruising by. If you are saying hello to Mike, certainly get a move on as well, would you? It's lunchtime coming up soon. It's a bit peckish. Some nice food stalls over there. Lots of Asian, American, Mexican, that was quite nice. Indian, Thai. So as Mike heads back in XX302, the next Lambda coming out, registered ML2972. This is a 1927 torpedo platform chassis. But funny enough, they used to import these cars, sometimes just the chassis. And I'm just about to start a story that had a body put on it. I just told you the body comes with a chassis because that is the whole innovation of the Lambdas. And my notes for this car, So despite their innovation in 1927 and 1921, they still did make some Lambdas with ladder chassis and not the monocoque. Because this car came into London in 1927, just a chassis, but it was never bodied or sold. It was sort of a car, nobody had the money then, it was a good idea that someone had. But it eventually came back into the hands of Pat Muir, and she actually first drove this car at the age of 18, in 1951, when it belonged to her boyfriend. So she first was in this Lambda as an 18-year-old, then it got sold and disappeared. But she discovered it in 1978, it came onto the market, a virtual wreck, and she recognised the car and actually bought the car that she first driven so much longer ago, and completely restored it, and now rallies it, went off to a rally in Ireland in 1979, when all sorts of problems occurred. And when they look back at their adventures in Ireland, the things that went wrong were all put down to Murphy's Law. So that they've now called it Murphy. So you see in front of you Murphy, which Pat Muir actually drove to Italy in 1981, been down 5 times to Italy, been to Angoulême. I don't know where Angoulême is. Angoulême. Was there a rally there? And it's back before it's finished its history, because now Pat has sold it to her daughter, so the ownership of that lovely car stays in the family. And now the bright red 1929, this is an 8th series Lambda, long wheelbase. This was fabulous. It was actually bought by an Indian gentleman and was first shipped to India when it was brand new. It was then bought and spent a lot of time in Hong Kong, but in 1967 moved to Hong Kong, and then it's returned to Britain and is now owned by Pat, not by Pat, I'm in main trying to call him Wise. So just trying to read more notes. Yes, it went to India just after the Wall Street crash, purchased by Charles Brown, who shipped it home from Hong Kong, and he had it for 21 years, and it's restored now. The car was sold in Bodham since 2012 at the Paris auction, and is now well owned by Lambda restorer Nick Benwell. I'm just giving my experts a challenge, because the Lambda is L in the Greek alphabet. I only get as far as alpha and beta and then I'm lost. So we're just having a little debate as how many Lancias have been named with a Greek alphabet letter. The Epsilon, wasn't there? Was an Epsilon, yeah? Finally, we moved on from Lambdas in 1938. The Aprilia now, we've finished with our Lambdas. This is a tiny little lightweight, 850 kilogram car, 80 miles an hour, outperforming sports cars, and went out and did the Mille Miglia. It's actually an Aprilia Berlina, Berlina being the word for saloon. They may also open-top versions of the Aprilia. This car was actually completed at the Lancia, I'm getting Lambda mad now, the Lancia factory in 1938. It was sold new into England straight away in the Midlands that year. It's had many owners since and spent a lot of its time up in Scotland. And I believe I'm told that lighter shade of blue is St Patrick's blue, an ancient heraldic colour of Ireland. I have no idea whether I'm right or wrong. I'm merely reading what I've been given. So, any Irish historians could confirm that is a shade of St Patrick's blue. It'd be fascinating to know. It's actually currently owned, this guy, to confuse our car manufacturers, by a Cesare Ferrari who lives in England. But Has he got a Ferrari as well? I'm asking my team. But he's certainly got a Lancia. So there the beautiful little pale blue car disappears before we're about to have our grand